when I read Pythagoras, he was the father of mathematics, as you know. But I did not realize the brilliance and the extraordinariness of this soul who came in to ancient Greece long, long time ago. And for Pythagoras, and this is important, numbers were alive. They weren't just numbers. They weren't just one. For Pythagoras, numbers were energetic consciousness. So the number one was holism. The number one represented the whole. To grasp what it was to be one, was the power of the whole. Imagine if a group understood what it was to be one. The power of one. One of the great mystical teachings, what is in one is in the whole. That is so powerful. What is in one? What is in one of your cell tissues, your DNA, is in your entire body. If cancer, if a malignancy starts in one of your cell tissues, it can bring you down. If you become malignant psychically, you influence the whole. You don't get that, but it is the truth. That is a truth that's so high altitude that you are still ignoring it. You can't access it. But it is still active. Just because you didn't know the world was round didn't mean it was round. It was still round. It was always round. And then one day you access the round world. One day you will access the truth that every thought you have is a profound act of creation. So the number one, is like a root number in your first chakra. The number two for Pythagoras is where division comes in. Polarity. It's a state of consciousness, and it is the source of conflict. As soon as one divides, you have opposite. You have conflict. You have power play. You have opposition. So two is not just two. Two is a whole universe is created around two. Two is yin and yang. Two is good and evil. Two is male and female. Two is an entire universe. An entire universe. Two is ovarian. Two is creation. And two is a state of consciousness that is this altitude that says, I have to win and you have to lose. I have to take. I have to have more, because if I don't have more, then you'll have more. And then what? And then what? So either I have more or you have more. So I have to win. I have to be right, you have to be wrong. Two is a state of consciousness that you have to proceed through, but very few people get through this one. Two is polarity. Two is a way, is the most restricted way of seeing your world. It's not fair. That shouldn't have happened to me. How many of you have ever thought that way? Where are your hands? Nobody? Okay. All right. And just a few of you, I'm going to do this again. How many of you have ever thought this isn't fair? This isn't fair. All right, come on. Up, 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 up. All right. Here's another example. How many of you have blamed someone else for why things happened? Come on, up. All right. This is polarity thinking. This is, how many of you have gotten into power plays? Okay, with somebody. How many of you are still in power plays? All right, I need you to remember that because we'll work on that. This is a state of consciousness. Okay, you get in a state of, you don't get that when you're in a power play, you have chosen to hemorrhage. It's a choice to hemorrhage because you've decided you know the whole story and exactly what's going on, and you are, and if I could play a part, imagine that I was a perception saleswoman. Okay? And I'm going to come up to you and say, I got a couple of perceptions here. And I want to sell one of them to you, and it's going to cost you 30 cents worth of your energy per day. But that in turn will distribute the speed at which the laws of the universe are going to work for you. Because it's going to cost you energy. So I'm going to explain something. I'm going to hit a pause button and explain something. The more energy you drain in these poor investments and in illusions, the more you block the speed of the laws of the universe. So I'm going to act this out. Cause and effect, for example. You make a choice. You set a cause in motion. Action and you set a cause in motion. You need change. You need a healing to happen. So you go to healers and you go to this and you're trying this and you set causes in motion because you want this effect. But what you don't see is that you have so much energy that you've invested in these other projects of yours, these negative thought forms, the choice that you need to win, the choice that you're so resentful, the choice of being right about something. Whatever these choices are, that's where your energy has gone. So even though it looks like I'm going to try this energetic thing and I'm going to try this, the fact is you're depleted. You don't have the juice. Now what happens here is that you have to rely upon the collective reserve. Now follow me here. It means you have to take a loan. You have to become a collective user. You have to become an energetic. You have to go on the energy available to you, which is usually full of psychic free radicals and trash. Because you're going with the lowest form of tribe. You have to take a loan from the tribal reserve, which is always trash. And that starts going into your energy field. Because you have to live off something. So now you're living off the collective. Because that's where you've put your thought forms. And so that's what's determining how your health flows. And so if I had an interview with the collective and said, do you think this illness could be healed? The collective, absolutely not. That's the dominant energy in your field. Now I'm going to hit a pause button, and you must have questions about what I just said. All right, Beth, hit it. It's real important that you get this. You think you have a lot going through your mind?
There we go. Let me just start by thanking you for your teachings, and I'm very grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you. We'll avoid that.
All right. I've been going through some pretty severe insomnia.
I'm sorry, a pretty severe what, please?
Insomnia.
Insomnia.
And so I'm hearing a lot of what you're saying. A lot of it's resonating with me. And I guess my question, to keep it short, is for those of us who are dealing with a health issue, maybe in part caused by past thoughts, past wanting to be right. I don't know if it's something that I need to be going through now. I'm definitely learning from it. It's definitely humbled me. I don't know if I'm stuck and I'm not able to heal just because of my own destructive thoughts. I honestly don't know. My question is for those of us.
May I have your first name? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, Catherine. I go by Katie. My first name is Catherine.
Catherine.
Full name Catherine. I go by
Just
Katie.
Catherine. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I definitely want to manage it well, as you said, and the question is really just for those of us who are struggling to get to the other side of something, struggling to heal, and struggling to access that grace.
Okay,
what advice do you have?
If you know, I'm fine to help all of you. You've journeyed a long way. I'm here to help you. Part of the way I'm going to help you is I'm going to put the ball in your court, but I'm going to bounce it with you. So I'm going to ask you, because it's important for you to do this work, and I'll do it with you, is name how you are losing energy. What do you know about yourself? Because this is important for you before you turn yourself over to somebody else. How are you losing energy? What do you know about? And go into your thoughts, your attitude. What do you dwell on at night that you're trying to resolve? Name 2 mysteries, because insomnia is mystery, and you're trying to solve something.
Well, one I thought I did when I was not sleeping at all. I dwelled on a past relationship, and I think but I did see my role in it, and the word that I used with a friend was racked with guilt.
Racked with guilt. Did I hear that
correctly?
Yes.
And then I looked up the next day, and I did write this person a letter. I don't know if that was right or wrong, but it was trying to take some responsibility and clear the air. But when I looked up emotional causes or Lewis Hay causes of insomnia, one of the words that came up was guilt.
Yeah. It's a great one. Always guilt. Good. That's number 1. What's number 2?
I've been thinking at night. I think fear is the other one.
What kind? I have a fear of snakes, but I don't have a fear of dogs.
It's more the cycle of I'm not sleeping, and then you get frustrated because, of course, you want to sleep. So
No. Keep going. What is unresolved? What are you expecting from the person? What are you imagining?
I don't think this person wants to see or speak to me again.
Right, but what are you imagining would happen? What's your fantasy that's keeping you up? Because you're in fantasy zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then probably, I didn't think I was still thinking about him, but yes, probably that we would reconcile.
There you go. Now we got it. See, it's not difficult, is it? Life is simple. The heart is simple. The heart is simple. Okay? Okay, so how do you finally say to yourself, knock it off?
How do I say to myself, knock it off?
That it's over. It's gone.
It's over. It's gone. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
No, you don't know, or this wouldn't be going on.
Okay. I guess just be an adult, get a backbone, as you would say, not a wishbone.
I don't know why women suffer like this. If you were a man, you wouldn't be doing this. I'm just going to kick you in the Buddhist. Okay. If you were a man, you would not be doing this. You'd be on with your life. Why do women do this? I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, it's not that I don't feel for you. It's a broken heart. A broken heart's a broken heart. But when the heart breaks, you don't mend it. You think, how many pieces have I got here? And what am I going to fill these pieces with? You never mend a broken heart. You fill it up. You fill it up. It takes a lot to break a heart. When you finally got there, what you should say to yourself, finally, my heart's broken wide open. Now what else and who else can I love? And honestly, turn yourself to the future and say, what else is out there? Stop looking backwards. Stop it. Stop behaving like an 18th century woman. Okay? And do I sound like I have no sympathy?
No,
I'm
no.
telling you, what I can't take is that this is what women do, but men don't. They just get on with it. Is he in another relationship yet?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Probably not, but I don't know.
Hmm.
We're not in touch.
Get on with your life. And every time you start thinking about it, put another man's face there.
Okay.
Substitute someone else. And just say, and this is an absolute truth. What I've said to the universe 1,000 times, look at your life. Do you have any good friends?
Yes.
Okay. And did you think to yourself, oh God, will I ever have a good friend? No. Will I ever meet a friend? Will I ever meet an? No, you don't. Do you ever think we'll ever find a loaf of bread? No. You just do. And you think, Beth and I met 25 years ago. I don't know where she is, she's hiding. But we met 35 years ago. One of the best friends, sister I have ever known in my life. I didn't sit around and think, will I ever have a best friend? No. When heaven fills your heart, it just fills your heart. I met Michael Gluck 30 years ago. Wonderful people that heaven just downloads into my heart. And that's where you have to say, you know what? I need a download. And you start dwelling on the kind of, here, get up here. Get out of this floor and get up higher and say, what am I doing down there? And you get up higher and you say, you know what? I need someone to fill in my heart. And I need to just have that right person now. And it's the time. And that's it. I'm done mourning that chapter. It's over. And it's like St. Benedict. I want you to picture yourself on a bridge. You're going to walk over the bridge and you're not going to think about this again. And on the other side is your new life. And you don't look back, because looking back is, you never look back. You look into this life, and now everything that you experience is setting the table for the life you are meant to have.
Thank you.
And when you're in insomnia, I can just say, start breathing your way into, this is my new life, and I'm going to go sleep in my new life. And you say to your angels, you know what? Take me out of my body. And let me sleep with you in the celestial world.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to take one more question, then we got to go back to work. What is it?
Hand.
Wait till Beth gets here. This isn't a continuation of last night, is it? Because really, I'm done with that. Am I direct? Yeah. I'm killing. No, you don't have time. You don't have time. Do you have time? You don't have time to listen to a lot of personal stories. We love each other, but I got to do it. Go.
Okay, so the whole one person can be physically malignant and impact the whole.
Yeah.
So, and also got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so us being able to feel the energetics of what's around us.
Right.
So, I mean, here, it's great. I can feel everyone's energy. It's wonderful. So for those of us that are more sensitive to the energies around us, what about when we go back home and we're in a city? How do we not marinate in all the negativity of the lower
Okay, so let's go to
floors?
work. Okay. In order to really manage the energy fields of everybody else, you have to manage yourself. Nothing is about managing the outside world, Petal. Everything is about managing yourself. We're not here to manage the outside world. We're here to manage our response to the outside world.
So how do we manage and we can pick up on the negative?
But, okay, how you do that is you decide, I need a stronger shell. I need a stronger shell. You don't let the world overwhelm you. Okay, here. This idea of I'm so sensitive. Stop it. You start because you don't make the outside world an enemy. You don't make other people so strong you can't be around them. Human beings are wondrous creatures. You'll isolate yourself. Stop telling yourself that. You have to say to yourself, wait a minute here. I'm actually stronger than I think. I have to change my vocabulary. I have to start upping my game little by little by little. little by little by little. All right, and you may have to do it, but let's go through the human energy system. Let's just do this step by step and floor by floor. Let's become methodical about this, okay? So that you start seeing how you manage your health, how you manage your energy. You are not going to get to a place of absolute strong grace shield overnight. The question you have to ask yourself is, how serious are you about learning how to manage your energy field and then your grace field? It's up to you. But one of the things you have to realize is that whether or not you take this seriously, it takes you seriously. Which is to say, whether or not you become aware that you are now living in a biospiritual, energetic environment, you are. And you are now, all of us, we are all of us now receiving energetic input that influences our immune system, that influences the way we think, that influences our archetypal nature, that influences, if anything, think of the pandemic. The pandemic is a physical way of getting that there are no boundaries anymore. That the only boundaries you have are a psychic field. And it depends on how well you manage. Here, you manage when you get up here and you start managing your psychic field consciously. And you start realizing, oh my God, everybody has a field of energy around them. And each of us can manage that while being intimate. It's just like a cell tissue. It is in your body, and yet it is an individual, but it can't sustain itself outside of your body. Okay? So we get to a place where we realize, and I told this story 1,000 million times, when this young man was renovating my house. And he took the money. It was my fault because I was so careless, but I didn't get it at the time. And when I had to deal with him, every single time, I thought my intelligence was stronger than his attitude. Yeah, right? So it was actually my arrogance versus his attitude. And he won. Because every time I went near him, I ended up hemorrhaging. You know, and I just thought, and I couldn't get him to admit he'd stolen the money. And there was this boat. That was my cabinet, right? And then when I was in Ireland, in Dingle, with John O'Donohue, do any of you know who John O'Donohue was? All right, so you know this fabulous former Catholic priest, mystic, philosopher, holy man. John and I were sitting at a bar, and he was belting back whiskey. And he was so handsome, I didn't know how ever he could have been a priest in the first place, but he had left, really. But he had left the order, and he was no longer a priest, and there I was with him in the bar, and I'm telling you, he made my knees melt. Anyway, but so I said, John, and he had that kind of Irish sense of humor, and yeah. And then I said, John, I got to talk to you about something. He said, oh, what is it, girl? And I said, every time I'm around this person, yada, 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 yada. And of course, I'm all full of myself. You know, when you tell stories from the first floor, you're always right. And of course, and I said, and I have to go back home after this trip, and I have to go deal with this guy. And now, pay attention here. I had the agenda in mind that I wanted. I had my agenda that I wanted to go see this guy. I wanted to make him yield to me. So I had my agenda, which in this world of the number one and number two, in this world, when you carry a strong agenda, you are assuming that there are no other influences coming into your world. You are assuming that. You are also assuming that you know what the best outcome is. Because that's the outcome in the number 2 that makes you feel the best. So what outcome are you actually serving? The best outcome or the darkest outcome? Which one? You're out actually for vengeance. You're not out for the best income. You're out to be right, but you can't see it at the time. You're out to prove you're right. You're not actually out for the right income. You're out for darkness. We're going to get to shadow and light and evil and good. But this is how darkness works. It makes you convinced that you know what's right. And you stick with it like white on rice. And nobody can convince you otherwise. And John said to me, "You're not strong enough to go near this guy." He said, "This guy's dealing with evil." Now, let's be very clear here. He didn't say the man was evil. What he did say, and I want to talk to you about good and evil, is that he participated in theft. And somehow, and the way darkness works is it can help you to rationalize doing something that is in fact dark. And how evil works is that evil plays by the exact same mystical laws as good, but they're in the shadow side. And so the way an angel works with you is that an angel cannot put into you something that is not already in you. Like an angel can't make me a Mozart. Okay? It's not possible. An angel can't gift me with something I'm not gifted with, but I am a gifted teacher. So if I need an inspiration of what to teach, that corridor is wide open. Do you see? It's wide open. I've opened it. I've prayed for help. This is one of the areas where I say, help me, guide me, put grace in that place. Don't let me say something stupid. Don't let me harm anybody. I am always, oiling up that corridor with grace. So angels have access to me through that channel because it is what I am. But they can't come in and say, you know what? We're going to not make her a teacher, and today we're going to make her a construction worker. But heaven can't do that. Just like heaven cannot come into a person and suddenly make a person sitting down a bloodthirsty serial killer. I mean, the dark can't do that. But what the dark relies upon is your own weakness and your own way of taking an experience you've had in your life and how you interpret that experience. This always happens to me. I don't deserve this. This is why I want those words out of your head. I didn't deserve this. How come they always have more than me? And as you nurture those kinds of thoughts that nurture self-pity, you hemorrhage. And the more energy you have draining out of you, the more you need a supply of different kind of energy, and in comes the dark. Now, even Jesus talked about what attracts the dark. This attracts the dark, as does an abundance of light. And it attracts the dark. And the way the dark works is it comes up and it says, you're absolutely right. You do deserve that. It leans on what you yourself have put there. It doesn't put it in you. It leans on it. Like a root canal, right? And pretty soon you get worked up in a lather. And it allows you to do that. Which is why, and the way the dark works is, right after you do something dark, it unlocks you. And then you're stuck with the guilt. And you're like, why the F did I do this? And then you have to deal with what you've just done. So imagine the dark there like, Gotcha. Which is why so often dark people then, after they've done they're in this darkness, they turn around and they have to confess. That's why they tell confessions in prison. If the police know this, they always say they always got to tell somebody. They got to get it out. It's classic. Confession in us is an archetypal need. Like, I got to get this out. I got to get this evil out of me. I'm telling you, our design is so exquisitely perfect. But that's how darkness works. So what John said to me was, he said, you don't have enough light around you to be with that kind of dark. He said, it's going to win. Because when someone has that kind of darkness, when someone gets used to being with darkness, just like when someone gets accustomed to light, you're drawn to someone with light. You're drawn. Someone that you think, this woman always makes me feel good. I just love being with this friend of mine. She always makes me feel better. That light, she's got some kind of light. You may not think in that language, but that's what it is. You want a shot of her light. And just like when someone is radiating darkness, why is it they attract weak people who resonate, and then they compromise themselves? And arrogance is what darkness counts on. Oh, I'm just so smart, I can do anything. It's like the alcoholic who says, I don't need AA anymore. I was just with someone, a friend of mine was talking about it yesterday. And so he said, you need to pray. He said, you need to get yourself, so here, to your point. He said, you need to pray. You need to get yourself in a field of grace. And how does that work? You start a prayer. Just keep me strong, so that the grace forms. And he said, you need to stay in prayer 4 or 5 hours. He said, you need grace. And when you learn to pray like that, what happens is one of the impacts of grace and prayer is that your focus no longer becomes on that person, but on you. So automatically you've detached. Automatically the detachment has happened. Secondly, your focus is no longer on defeating him, but on controlling yourself. Third, grace somehow diminishes your appetite for convincing them you're right and keeps you centered and think, I just want to resolve this. Do you see what I'm saying here? So grace gets you to a higher place. And that's what it is to put yourself in a field of grace. So when you say, I'm so sensitive to other people, oh my God, this world is so filled with all these people. No. That's the way you talk down here when you're looking out of the window from your first floor of the basement. Look at the enemies out there. The world's a hostile place. No. You say, I can't have this reptile. This is a reptilian thought form. No. No. I have to start telling myself my immune system can handle this. My psychic immune system can handle this. Get out of your physical immune system, get into your sacred immune system. My psychic, sacred immune system is just fine. These are not enemies. These are my fellow human beings. I'm just fine. So do your thoughts when you think that way. So do you. When you think of them as harmful, you are being harmful. Okay? Every human being has a story. You know what? There's a homeless man that I'm now living in this apartment building. I have to take my dog to the park every day. There's a homeless man, God bless him, who has been living in the park. So there's a group of us, all of us have dogs, who bring him food or coffee or whatever. But the temperature in my area dropped to 18 and 20 below. And we were concerned about whether or not he would survive. We called the services, we called the police, we called this or that. And he's got a lot of damage. And he was a war veteran. and he sees things shooting him. So and he's just, it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. And I see how many people judge the homeless. And there's a lot of homeless in my town. And there's a lot of people who've come in that have been bused up to Chicago. And my town has taken, I think, several thousand people, or several hundred, whatever. And I know those thought forms. What are they doing here? Da, da, da. All these people are legitimate they're not refugees. What are they called? Asylum seekers. They're all. And it is up to every one of us. My church has participated, all of us, in helping them. They're not the enemy. They are people just like us who just don't want their kids to be hijacked in starvation. And it's also in holism, the whole population is going to get redistributed. We're not going to have Chinese hoods, Asian hoods, white hoods, blue hoods. We're going to get redistributed into one human community.
When I think of the kind of the fear aspect, for me, it's the people who have been engaging with darkness. Like, I don't have enough light to.
All right, but that's where, honest to God, even there are so many people who are engaged in darkness. That's just a fact, okay? But you don't dwell on that. What you dwell on is the power of your light, and that's a choice. There are a lot of people who dwell on, who make hatred a political party. I won't mention any names. But my choice is to do everything I can with the power of love instead of the love of power. Okay, everything you can. Your choice is, you know that it's out there. What can you do that's different? And that becomes your pattern. What can I do? Knowing, and what you have to, as you get up higher, if I can even get you there, you start realizing that the measure of your power is not by the size of your action, but the power of your thought. You start getting into mustard seed economics. The mustard seed is greater than the mountain. You start realizing the power of one clear, true, loving thought is greater than the power of a mountain. It doesn't make sense down here because down here everyone wants to buy the mountain. But up here you actually get that it's the energetic world that manages this world. You're a long way to go, but trust me.